Hey everybody, welcome to the Fantasy Endgame. If you're a first-time viewer, thanks for joining us. We're here to draft. It's mock draft time. We're going to do a PPR 12 team, 3 receiver, 2 running back, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end mock draft. Now, we try to mix it up. Last night we did something a little bit different, but similar, only 2 receivers. This used to be Dynasty Wednesday, but you know what? It's time for redraft season, so only redraft from here on out. Although if you are interested in how to win a Dynasty League, what is Dynasty even about? Well, I have some good news for you. We teach you how to win and a lot more. If you see right there, building champions, what's that about? We teach you how to win basically, and we're going to do the same thing for redraft, but you have to go to flockfantasy.com/endgame, become a member. You get access to all of that, plus so much more. The draft domination course, our rankings. Chris is very excited about his rankings. His favorite. I love that you don't. No, like I already know, right? Everyone, I think you make it well known, but you felt compelled to tweet out how much you hate rankings, but got to do it, right? Like everybody, you have to have rankings, don't you?
I guess so. I guess you do. I guess.
All right. You want to know? There they are, in-season rankings, draft rankings, everything you need basically to win at fantasy football. And let's face it, that's what makes it fun. Yeah, playing is fun, but winning is more fun. So we'll show you how to do that, and you get to compete with us and our amazing community in real drafts and mock drafts all off season long, including tonight. I do have some bad news though. If you're sitting there waiting and hoping to join us tonight for a mock draft, there's exactly 1 spot left. That's right. It's kind of like the golden ticket in Willy Wonka. You're going to have to get really lucky or just click really fast. It was 1 spot. Why is that? It's already full because everybody else who's in, they're in the flock. They already got their memberships. They get to join the mock drafts early whenever they want, pick their spot. So 1 person who is watching will get to join, and that link is going to drop, I'd say, like now.
Yep, there it comes. One lucky winner. NMB, man, he's
All right.
fast. He is fast. All right.
All right. Well, here we go. We're going to start, and we're going to start off with you. You got the number 1 pick, and appreciate again everyone. Even if you're not drafting in the draft with us, watching along, you can still learn quite a bit. Just kind of get an idea of how the community values certain people, where guys are going. You know, I was curious yesterday, where are we going to see like Saquon Barkley? Well, he was a first rounder yesterday. Is that going to be the case today? Josh Jacobs, where's he going to go? Who knows?
Kadarius Toney.
Is he still a thing? No, he's been replaced by Justin Ross, league winner.
I thought it was Richie James. Oh, wait, I thought it was Rashee Rice.
I mean, take your pick. They're all league winners.
Suddenly the Chiefs are going to have 3 league-winning wide receivers.
That's right. Only 3 this year. I did see some hype on both of those guys. Rashee Rice made like a catch, like an impressive catch for a touchdown. And not in a game. No, it wasn't a game. It was a practice. But don't you love that? The whole touchdown thing?
Yeah, it's like my favorite thing. Like, oh, Rashee Rice got loose from the defense and went 60 yards for a touchdown. I'm like, yeah, nobody can tackle him. They're not allowed to tackle him.
Hey, it still counts. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Noir, no, you're online.
Come on.
All right. Well, he auto CMC, but it says he's online. Noir says you're online.
Huh. All right. We'll see. We'll see, hopefully, on the way back. All right, so CMC was the first pick. I don't know if that was queued up. Bijan now. Today, the second running back taken.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably more typical.
Clayton's going to definitely do something that's not typical.
Yes, that's for sure. I'm sure he's already been sniped 3 times at this point.
That's a good question. NMB, yeah, got in quickly. How long have we been doing fantasy? Long time.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you've been doing it longer than me. I'm really bad at remembering years and dates and how long things have been, but I'll say my first fantasy team ever had Matt Forte, Des Bryant, Jordy Nelson. Who else did I have? Antonio Gates was my tight end, and he was good. So that'll give you at least an idea of how long. I don't know when that was. I don't remember the exact year, but that'll give you an idea by those names, kind of like, when it was.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. When I first played fantasy football, I'll say that the top picks were Steve Young and Jerry Rice.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
Dan Marino was pretty popular because, of course, I grew up in Miami, and so everyone went to Marino, and he was pretty good.
That's a long time ago.
Wow. Man, Garrett Wilson early. Garrett Wilson went to 8 overall.
Garrett Wilson 8 and Sun God 10. Interesting.
I feel like there should be a receiver that like jumps out here, but now I'm not really sure.
Well, I mean, Diggs and AJ Brown did get drafted. They just got drafted much later than normal. Yeah,
I guess I don't know why I assumed one of those guys would come back to me. I guess not, but I'm okay. I'm okay. My favorite player I ever had was I used to draft Edgerrin James whenever I could because, again, being a Miami fan, University of Miami, and he was a fantasy stud. So I would try to get Edgerrin James, though.
Favorite player? That's tough because I don't feel like I'd probably actually have to say Antonio Brown. I kept drafting like 3 years in a row. I drafted Antonio Brown with like my first round pick because people, had to get their running backs, and Antonio Brown would just he dominated for many years. So probably Antonio Brown. And he wasn't crazy back then yet. He was just awesome at football.
Yeah. There was a long time where he was considered normal. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, Drake London. What is that? The 2-4?
2-4.
This is a spicy draft.
This is a get your guys draft. So we have, Garrett Wilson we've seen in the first round. I don't know that we've seen him at the 8, but that's pretty early. Sun God is not always a first rounder, usually not.
Drake London usually more like a third rounder.
Yeah, I like London. I don't know. There's still a couple of guys on the board, guys I was considering back when I picked. Yeah, well, Torrey Holt. Yeah, no, that was a name. Torrey Holt was definitely the man. Look, I will tell you the best fantasy football team I ever had. I didn't have Torrey Holt. I did have Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner, and that was 1998. That was a pretty good team.
Yeah. Was that even did they even have PPR back then, or was it just standard scoring?
It was not PPR. I did not know what PPR was.
Man, JT at the, what is that, the 2-9? What is happening in this draft?
We're back to 3 receivers starting. We did see running backs go a little earlier last night, but man, that still feels like great value.
Yeah, it feels like fantastic value. Are we that worried because he's on PUP?
And then Chubb. All right, here come the running backs. As soon as we talk it up, now all the running backs are going to fly off the board.
Well, mean, I might have to
It's different. You're at the front end at the turn, so whoever you don't pick here, you're definitely not getting on the way back. All right, so there's one running back.
Yeah, I'm okay with this start right here, though.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, get a high upside RB and a high upside wide receiver 2 to go with the new Antonio Brown, the new wide receiver that's just going to dominate every year.
And Cooper has some sort of a little injury that's keeping him out, but it's nothing serious.
Cooper always has. I feel like he always has that in training camp, like every year. It's like I think he just doesn't want to practice too hard in training camp. So it's like, I got a little twinge in my hamstring.
Well, it doesn't even say here. It says an undisclosed injury or minor tweak to an undisclosed body part. Could you be more vague? I mean, that doesn't sound like an injury.
It's like hockey teams, it's a lower body, like you see the guy, you see his knee buckle in, oh man, he just destroyed his knee, and then the team's like, it's a lower body injury. It's like, oh, very vague.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry. No, I'm definitely not worried. Not dropping him in my rankings or anything.
Not worried. It's not even August yet. Training camp's just started. I'm not worried.
All right, now, Pitts before Andrews. That's some early Pitts. What do you think about Pitts?
That is. I thought I was high on Pitts. Man, we've had some picks in this draft. How about Stevenson falling to beyond the middle of the third? Are we that worried they're going to sign somebody?
Who are you going to be that worried about? Who are they going to sign?
I mean, it would have to be Dalvin Cook or Lenny. That's the only ones that would really worry me. I mean, maybe Zeke a little bit because maybe that would hurt his touchdowns, but he only had 6 touchdowns last year. It's not like the guy, needs 20 touchdowns to be good. So it would really have to be Lenny, because I do think Lenny would catch more passes than anybody else on the team as far as running backs go. So that might hurt him a little bit in PPR, or of course Dalvin Cook, but that's really it. And they worked out Leonard Fournette and didn't sign him. So either Leonard Fournette wants more money than they're willing to pay him, or they're like, yeah, this guy's out of shape, because that's what Leonard Fournette does in the offseason. He gets out of shape.
Yeah, he sure does.
Man, Josh Jacobs at the 4-1. I know we're worried about the holdout, but that could be an absolute steal.
I know. I'm going to keep waiting on running back, I think. Because I know in our draft.
Wait, we just had Jordan Addison in the third.
Yeah, I don't want to gloss over that. I mean,
what?
I don't know, Joe. I was going to say maybe Joe's still in that dynasty state of mind. He's in our dynasty draft, but the Eckler start makes me think otherwise.
Wow.
I mean, I'm high on Addison, and you are too, but I don't think I'm that high.
No, I mean, and the thing is, I always say this about guys, even if you're way higher on somebody than the rest of the world, you don't have to reach for him that early. You could get Addison. If you really want to make sure you can get Addison, you could probably get him in the 5th round in every draft if you really wanted to. So you could take somebody else here and then still get Addison later.
Right. That's the thing. It's all, I keep saying this, always about value. I mean, you want him, you go out and get him, but yeah, it's got to be the right time. You don't want to be the one who overpays. All right.
Yeah, he's definitely not in dynasty mode because you just took Keenan Allen, which I don't mind that. I mean, I don't mind that pick there, but definitely that's not a dynasty pick.
Yeah.
So you're the only team without a running back so far.
I think at this point, I know the drop off. I think from receiver, what's going to be left to me on the way back, seeing at the 11, I think it's going to be bigger than the drop off from running back, especially since everyone's going running back. This is a 3 receiver flex league. I'd rather stack up my receivers now.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. I was just pointing out you're the only one that doesn't have a running back so far.
I mean, I'm especially right now, I'm not touching Josh Jacobs. I'm just not. It could be a great value there, but I'm just not big on him anyways. I entertained Gibbs and I entertained a running back who still hasn't been taken. But I was like, no, I think I'll get my receiver. Debo said he's going to have a bounce back season. I have to go with what he says.
Best shape since 2019. Not of his life, just since 2019. Which, by the way, didn't he miss like half the year that year?
Details. But it's about the shape, Chris. It's about the shape he's in before he gets hurt.
Oh.
All right, Judy taken from you.
Wow. I mean, yeah, Judy taken from me. Now I'm good there. There are just some screaming values all over the board right now. Honestly, there are some. I don't even. This is like tough for me to decide what direction I want to go in here.
Man. Yeah, we're about to kick off round 5. There's some players that usually are long gone.
It's a 3 wide receiver league. Man, this is actually a really tough decision right here for me. There's a wide receiver I really like. There's a QB I love. There's a running back. There's a couple of running backs I really like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to steer you either way. I know there are some running backs that are usually not around in round 5, but at the same time, how often do we talk about waiting on RB2?
I know. In this
yeah.
With in this format,
like that, that's what I would have done.
In this format, I'm gonna wait. If it was a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver league, I would go with one of those running backs, no questions asked. But yeah, in this format, I'm gonna wait on the RB2. Yeah.
That's it. That was the move. That's exactly it. You can't I'm gonna keep saying I feel Lamar is due for maybe his best season. Everything points to that. And I've seen it's funny online now. Some people, it's almost become a cliche, like in the fantasy community. Oh, Todd Monken, and except remember last time he was around, it didn't, pan out that way. I get it. Look, maybe he's not like the next coming of Andy Reid as an offensive genius or something. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the best offense in the world. But Lamar Jackson doesn't really need that much help. Like, he just needs a little bit of help, and he got it. He got some help finally, and they're actually going to let him throw. And that's the thing. He's going to be the centerpiece of this offense. He actually got some help at receiver. That's all he needs, right? Everything doesn't have to fall in perfectly. And I don't care if Monken isn't, the best coordinator in the entire universe. It doesn't have to be that way. He's got Lamar Jackson. It's not that hard.
Exactly. And the selling point here, and according to the beat writers, I mean, it's only the first day of camp, so let's not overreact to anything here. But according to the beat writers, the offense was moving at a significantly faster pace than it ever moved with Greg Roman, which makes sense because Greg Roman's style is like slow and steady wins a race, which it doesn't, but that's his style. And he's got weapons, and we know he can play. So just the fact that if they play at a faster pace and they open up the offense and they put more weapons on the field, that's going to allow Lamar Jackson to be great, regardless if Monken is an offensive guru or not. But he's a good enough. I think we have a good enough track record of success to know that he's at least capable as an offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah. But like you said, that's the thing. It's an upgrade already, just like the addition by subtraction. Instead of the old, slow, conservative offense, we're going to have something better. All right, so here's where I'm reading I could be wrong, and I'm only saying this out loud because we're streaming, and that's the point of this. Normally, I'd be tempted to take one of these running backs, but I'm looking at the fact that beefed up Garfield already has 2 running backs, and I'm probably going to be able to wait on a guy. So now,
oh boy! All right, here we go. Let's see.
I could be playing mind games and trying to get him to take a ring now. All right, but I'm going to take the highest
You could be
paid
playing
quarterback.
You could be playing mind games against yourself when he goes running back here.
Yeah. And then I'll pretend that's what I wanted him to do.
Yeah. It's like the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
With the poison cup. I knew you knew I knew you could do.
Never battle a Sicilian when death is on the line. I don't know, something like that.
Oh,
see?
There's one. Oh. All
right. That's okay. Not the guy I was going to take anyways.
All right. Dodged a bullet there. That would have been funny if you took Dameon Pierce.
Look, and here's the thing. I'll just say now, if I was really going to go full-fledged 0 RB, which maybe I can say now I should have, I would have just taken another receiver and locked up my flex. There's not a single receiver, I think, right now on the board that jumps out that I feel like either won't be around my next pick, or that I couldn't replace. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll dry up and I'll regret that. But I feel like there's a drop-off at running back here. Like, I would have been okay with Swift there or Pierce, and then there's a drop-off. Make one guy maybe, but if I wait and then those, 3 running backs I was really interested in are all gone, I'm not going to like my 0 RB team. I'm just not. So
yeah,
I'm not going to stay committed to a style, and just say, oh, I have to take a wide receiver. Otherwise, it doesn't count as 0 RB. That doesn't matter. I want to actually have players I feel are good on my team.
That's true. And I'm definitely, even though all the running backs have kind of flown off here, I'm definitely glad I didn't grab one of the running backs with my last pick, because, yeah, it's already going to probably be kind of ugly when it gets back to me here, a wide receiver.
True. Okay, here's a softball.
Lob. Oh, no, you're going to throw this one up. Okay.
I have to put it up.
Like, I cannot. Okay, here's it's fine if people want to say, like, I'm not into Bijan Robinson, a rookie running back. Okay, that's fine. But how the HE double hockey sticks has Nick Chubb's value gone up this much? Like, how is Nick Chubb now? Like, people are talking about Nick Chubb as the overall RB1. Like, what have I missed? What happened? What happened? What did I miss this offseason? Did he get younger? And, like, did he turn into, like, Alvin Kamara as a pass catcher? And, like, the Browns are just like, we're just going to, turn you into Derek. We're just going to run the Titans offense where it's all Nick Chubb all the time. Like, what have I missed this offseason? He's still Nick Chubb. He's the same guy.
He's gone. And so, therefore, Nick Chubb catches 100 passes.
I don't get like I'm not anti Nick Chubb. I'm not against. I think Nick Chubb will be good this year. He will definitely be good. But I don't understand why people are like going crazy for Nick Chubb. Like, Nick Chubb is going to have the best season he's ever had in his life at 28 years old with 1,500 touches under his belt in an offense that's going to be the pass heaviest Cleveland offense they've ever had with Nick Chubb.
Anyways. All right, here's one argument. Chubb in an elite offense. Well, that offense was very far from elite last year, even with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. And look, and we all agree it's going to be better. And if you look at Chris's draft, he took Amari Cooper because he thinks it's going to be a lot better on offense. But it's probably going to be better in terms of the passing offense, not the rushing offense. And look, Nick Chubb is still an RB1, but he's not the RB1.
In order for Nick Chubb to be the RB, even last year, Nick Chubb had what? 13 touchdowns through 12 games. Am I right about that? Let me look.
Let me see.
Somebody want to correct me on that? Or
say it again?
Nick Chubb had 13 touchdowns in the first 12 games, didn't he? something like that.
He had 13 touchdowns total last year. Yeah, but I guess it
Yeah,
didn't come at the end where Deshaun Watson was the quarterback.
No, they didn't. They didn't come at the end when you actually needed them. They came at the beginning when they didn't even matter. Honestly, it's like cool. Your team was like 10-0, and then you lost, in the first round of your playoffs because Nick Chubb laid an egg. But anyways, which is weird because usually when a guy does that, like usually when a guy is really good first half and then terrible the second half, people don't want him the next year. It's like it's really boggling my brain that people are so high on Nick Chubb this year. But even if we look at it, what was it? When did Nick Chubb start like sucking last year? Let me look.
Week 13.
Okay.
Just in time.
Just in time to tank your season. Okay. So for as awesome as Nick Chubb was last year, weeks 1 through 12, he was still only the RB5. And he was incredible. He was the best Nick Chubb we've ever seen, ever. By far. He was on an insane touchdown heater, and he still was barely a top 5 running back. Nick Chubb legit needs to score over 20 touchdowns to even have a chance to be the RB1 this year. It's just a fact. Look at Derrick Henry. When Derrick Henry that year, when he was like crushing fantasy before the foot injury, it wasn't because he caught it. I mean, I remember that. I even remember in preseason videos of Derrick Henry catching passes and beat writers saying, Derrick Henry's going to finally catch passes this year. He didn't. He wasn't catching any passes that year. But he was scoring like 1 or 2 touchdowns every single game. And that was the only reason why he was dominating fantasy, is because he was on this insane touchdown heater. I mean, he was putting up decent yardage, but Nick Chubb gets decent yardage. Even last year, he was getting decent yardage when he was bad. Nick Chubb needs touchdowns. He's one of those guys. He needs touchdowns. He can score touchdowns. He'll score touchdowns in this offense. He'll score enough touchdowns to be probably a top 8 to 10-ish back, in my opinion. But if he's going to be a top 1 back, he needs well over 20 touchdowns. You want to bet on that? You bet on it. I'm not.
I'm not either. Man, I just noticed. Sorry, before we get back to that, man, some people going definitely earlier than usual here. We just saw Juju taken in round 7. Van Jefferson was a late round flyer. He's now round 7. I thought Elijah Moore would be there on the way back. Elijah Moore got taken. So I kind of feel like I have to take Brandon Cooks, who I like Brandon Cooks this year, as you know, he's fine. But yeah, there's some players going, like everyone's getting their guy.
I mean, wow. Van Jefferson in the 7th? Whew.
It's a little early. Let's see. So Keith has a theory based on Nick Chubb. Let me see. Always these things get lost. Oh, there we go. So it's possible that he did grow an extra set of arms.
Okay, there you go. Well, there you go. That might do it for him.
Look, it's I don't know. I feel like we give too much. I shouldn't have put that one on. Too much airtime on Bijan and Nick Chubb. But look, nobody here is anti Nick Chubb. Just anti Nick Chubb is the RB1, and he's definitely not Bijan.
I just said I think he'll finish as a top 8 to 10 running back, kind of like what he does every year. Like he's done every year of his career. I don't really get what is different. I mean, I know what people think is different. They think it's Kareem Hunt, but it's not. Kareem Hunt was terrible last year. And not only that, if you look at the games where Nick Chubb was awesome, those are the games where Kareem Hunt was actually still playing, and he was still getting like 40 or 50% of the snaps, and he was still getting, 8 to 10 carries and getting targets. If you look at the second half of the season when Nick Chubb was terrible, Kareem Hunt was barely playing. He was getting like 3 carries, 4 carries. He was playing like 30% of the snaps. He wasn't even a factor. It's a bad reason to be pumping up Nick Chubb. If you want to pump up Nick Chubb because you think he's going to run for 2,000 yards and score 20 touchdowns, okay, fine, go for it. But if it's Kareem Hunt, that's a bad reason to be pumping him up.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to confirm, looking it up from last year, Nick Chubb's touchdown drought, like you said, is the last 5 games where he didn't score a single rushing touchdown. Just happened to coincide exactly when Deshaun Watson came back to be the quarterback because they decided they need to throw it more. Like, I'm not saying he's not going to score any touchdowns this year, but still, we don't want a player in general who is dependent on touchdowns and who doesn't have that PPR floor. Nick Chubb is not going to catch 70 plus passes. Bijan Robinson definitely could. Oh, all right. I'm not even going to put up the whole, he's a rookie. No. Okay. Sorry.
That's my favorite. That's the only knock anybody has on Bijan Robinson is he's a rookie. That's the only knock they have. I haven't heard any other knock like it's just he's a rookie. Okay, fine. If you don't want to draft him because he's a rookie, that's your choice. That's your prerogative.
Now, on the same offense, let's talk about this. Look, we're hearing some hype on Elijah Moore. I posted some hype in the Discord. Elijah Moore has been a good receiver. He just hasn't been in a good situation. I mean, maybe he finally does live up to, pre-draft expectations. I mean, the guy is talented. It just obviously didn't click with the Jets. He didn't have a good quarterback play. I mean, I'm all for drafting Elijah Moore this year.
Yeah, I'm not for drafting Elijah Moore in round 7. I think it still feels a little bit early, but yeah, definitely like in the in those kind of like late single digit rounds, it's worth the gamble.
And so you're also going with Cleveland player, I think, just to prove a point there. Go ahead, David Njoku.
Yeah, hey, look, I mean, even if you look last year, Deshaun Watson was terrible, right? We can all agree Deshaun Watson was terrible. And I've talked about this because I actually did the research and looked it up game by game, took the time game by game and looked it up. 16 times with Deshaun Watson, the Browns got inside their opponent's 6-yard line where they didn't kick a field goal. I think they had like a few times, but they kicked a field goal. That doesn't count. One time they ran the ball with Nick Chubb. The other 15 times, it was either Deshaun Watson running or Deshaun Watson throwing. That means even with a terrible Deshaun Watson, the Browns said, hey, we're going to put it in his hands near the goal line. That's the big thing that changed for Nick Chubb last year. It wasn't Kareem Hunt. It was Deshaun Watson. With Jacoby Brissett, when they get near the goal line, you think they're going to be like, hey, let's ask Jacoby Brissett to drop back 3 times. No, they're going to give it to Nick Chubb, of course. They didn't, but with Deshaun Watson, they didn't. Now Deshaun Watson's going to be better. He just is, and they're going to trust him even more. I'm not saying Nick Chubb's never going to get goal line carries. Of course, he's going to get goal line carries. He'll probably get 10 to 13, maybe 15 touchdowns is like his ceiling probably this year. He'll be good. He's not going to be a bust. He's not going to be bad. I've never said that. Like, even last year, I said he'll be fine, and people just think I hate on Nick Chubb, even though I said he'll be fine. Like, okay. So yeah, it's going to be a different offense. It just is. And people are also discounting the role Jerome Ford is going to have. They just act like Jerome Ford is going to be non-existent, not going to be out there. The GM just said one of the reasons they drafted him 2 years ago was because they really liked his pass catching. He literally said that as a quote. We drafted Jerome Ford because we liked what he did as a pass catcher. It's not going to be 100% Nick Chubb. No NFL team just leans on one running back anymore. It just does it. It's 2023. So anyways, we spent this whole draft talking about Nick Chubb. What happened?
It happens almost every night, doesn't it? There's always something. It's Bijan. It's Nick Chubb. Yeah. All right. No more of that. Let's move on. Okay, look, I will say this. You want to fire bold, maybe not bold prediction, just a fire take. All right, hold on. Let me make my pick here first before I set the platform on fire. And I will say, an MB, you did snipe me on P. Ryan. I was all set to take him.
I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with Joe Castle's draft. I mean, Van Jefferson and Isaiah Hodgins back to back.
Yeah, those are guys and each of us take those players a lot in drafts.
Yeah.
But in the last 2 rounds. Not the players, it's where you're taking them. Okay, so how about this? I wouldn't be surprised. Jerome Ford is equally productive as Zach Charbonnet.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Nick Chubb, and I was like, oh my god.
No. No, then we'll be like pitchforks and people like unsubscribing.
I think that's pretty spicy.
Well, because everyone assumes Charbonnet is just going to come in and be equal with Kenneth Walker, and he's going to be, competing for touch or whatever. And Jerome Ford, people don't even remember who he is, that he exists.
No. People don't even realize there's other running backs on the Browns, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think their role is the same: pass catching, complement. A couple of series. I think people are overestimating how much Charbonnet carries the ball, and underestimating Ford because they don't know that he exists.
I mean, you could be right. You could be right on that. I think Charbonnet is a better running back than Ford. So we'll see. But I do agree with you that people are discounting Jerome Ford way too much. Way too much.
And just like that, we just single-handedly inflated his ADP 50 spots.
Which means he's going to now be drafted because he pretty much doesn't get drafted.
All right, so moving on to a topic that is completely unrelated. Is that a good thing? I like the Cheesecake Factory.
I mean, exactly. That's like a good description, honestly. It's like you know what you're going to get. You're probably not going to be overly disappointed. You'll be satisfied when you're done. But you also probably won't be blown away, right? You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, like Cheesecake Factory, we got to go back. It's like, hey, that did the job, right? It did the job. I'm full. It was definitely tasty enough. I'm satisfied. It did the job. That's Nick Chubb in a nutshell.
All right. Good to see who is your Cheesecake Factory of third string running backs and fifth string receivers here. I think I guess that's pretty accurate. Clayton with a very good question. What flavor of Doritos do you think Nick Chubb?
Oh, jeez. What flavor of Doritos does Nick Chubb eat?
Probably the original, I'd say.
I think this is going to be the first time I've drafted this guy in like 2 years. But I feel like at this point I'm going to gamble on him.
2 years? Oh, wow. Okay, now this we have to talk about. I can't believe Okay, so Royland, you're going to talk. We're not going to gloss over. You just selected Gabe Davis over everybody else on the board, even Rashad Bateman.
I did consider Bateman, but man, I'm still a little nervous about Bateman's health. I'm not gonna lie.
I get that, but you're gonna have to explain yourself here. What is it now that has made you decide Gabe Davis is a league winner?
My 11th round pick, and he's a league winner. It's basically like I just feel like he shouldn't be going this low. Like I feel like at this spot I will gamble on him. Like I know, like we know. Okay, Gabe Davis is Gabe Davis is like, what restaurant can I compare him to? Like, who's a restaurant where sometimes you go and it's like really good and sometimes you go it's terrible? I don't know. The Del Taco of restaurants.
Yeah, I feel like and there's a ton around here. Trust me, with like a Mexican restaurant, sometimes it can be hit or miss because if like the beans are old or if like they just like the tortilla is a little too long or something. But sometimes it's really like on point. Yeah.
So every now and then he'll go off for you.
The answer is clearly yes. And so now we all know this has been the long con for 2 years. You've been talking
2
down
years.
Gabe Davis that you could steal him in the 11th round of our mock drafts.
Yes, of a meaningless mock draft. Yes. Finally, 2 years of patiently waiting.
This is it. Okay, so I don't think it wasn't even a offhand comment. It was like a, hey, the mock's about to end and we're going offline, but by the way, here's my spicy. Hey, Keith is all about this. Josh Allen out of the top 5 QBs. I'm sticking with that. And if you might notice, I don't think I've drafted him at all this offseason. And it's not just because I'm not a Buffalo Bills fan. It's nothing personal. It's the fact that I don't know. I just see the signs. And okay, hold on, it's my turn.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that's kind of. I think that's kind of spicy, but we did today. Stephon Diggs, everything's fine. I want to retire a Bill. Like what? Who knows? Whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that. At least we know how
it's not.
Diggs.
It's not even that doesn't have anything to do with it. Okay, just took the Bengals RB1 this year. So, anyways, I think. Oh, and by the way, I guess Ian is on the clock. We do have a Michael Thomas believer because he did take him last round. So we have a Gabe Davis believer, Chris, and a Michael Thomas believer. All right, there we go. I really didn't think about it until I saw someone point out the whole thing is that Brian Daboll, you know how he's been kind of like the QB whisperer, and he last year made Daniel Jones into a respectable quarterback, and now everyone's like, hey, Daniel Jones is good. And last year, Josh Allen took a step back, and I wonder if there's something to that. Like, it's not like Allen's just going to completely fall apart, but he kind of, I don't know, he showed signs of the old Josh Allen toward the end last year, and they didn't add anything at receiver, right? Don't tell me, oh, Dalton Kincaid, a rookie tight end is not going to convince me that this offense is like he has more weapons now. So they really didn't do anything different. Like nothing's different in the offense. The turnovers kind of started cropping up again. I don't know, man. I just get a feeling that maybe peak Josh Allen isn't there right now. I don't know.
I mean, you could be right, and it is still shocking to me that they took Kincaid over one of the wide receivers when you've got a team in a Super Bowl window with a 30-year-old elite wide receiver who you don't know how much longer you're going to have. He's going to be an elite wide receiver, and you drafted it. I mean, it just shows you what happens when you get just beat by the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce year after year. You just give up, throw up your hands, say, we need Travis Kelce. And then you draft this tight end in the first round, which makes no sense. So, yeah, you could be right. And I think this is the NMB hit it on the head. Gabe Davis is the McDonald's ice cream machine of wide receivers.
I don't think I can speak to that because it's been a long time since I've set foot inside a McDonald's.
But the McDonald's, it's a big joke. They're always down, right? Like you go, you're like, hey, I want some McDonald's soft serve, and you drive to McDonald's, and it's like, sorry, our ice cream machine is down. But sometimes you want some soft serve, you drive, and it's ready, and it's there, and you get it. That's like Gabe Davis, right? Like, oh my gosh, he's playing the worst defense in the league. I'm going to get my 30 points, and he doesn't catch a pass because the ice cream machine is broken.
Let me put one last food metaphor here to put this together. There's a place, and I don't always get my food from a gas station, but there's a place that's kind of near Dolphin Stadium. There's a gas station, and my brother-in-law hit me to this, and they make something called taco pizza. It's pizza, but it's like with a taco like on top. So it's basically it's like meat and cheese and beans and lettuce and tomato in pizza form. And sometimes when you go, it's the best thing you've ever had in your life. Like it's amazing. And sometimes it's not. And so that's kind of how it is when you get your food from a gas station restaurant. So that's what I think of.
Yeah, if you're getting your food from a gas station restaurant, you are definitely accepting
you're rolling the dice.
Yeah, it could be great or it could be terrible.
Let's call living moss. There you go, Roberto. What's up, Roberto? Sliding in at the very end.
Very end of the draft. It's probably
Yeah.
been here the whole time.
All right. Well, look, I did take James Cook. I'm not out on the Buffalo offense completely. I still have Diggs as a late first rounder. I don't think Josh Allen's undraftable. I'm just not taking him over some other quarterbacks who are elite quarterbacks. I think James Cook is going to be good for James Cook. I don't know that he's going to make Josh Allen better, though. I think you need a receiver to make a quarterback significantly better.
Yeah, I do like James Cook a lot. I actually just recorded a video about, well, not just about James Cook, but James Cook is in it. But I do like James Cook a lot, especially, unfortunately, with the Nyheim Hines injury. The unfortunate that jet ski accident where he's going to miss the whole season now. Any threat to James Cook as a pass catcher, as a pass catching running back in this offense is now gone. Because who else is there? Damian Harris. We know he's not going to catch any passes. Latavius Murray isn't going to catch passes, or not enough to impact James Cook. So,
yep, that's it, because he's not just the passing catching back; he's the only one. Because Damian Harris just does not. He will not. They won't even throw it to him, right? They're not going to pretend to throw. And Ken Dorsey wants to throw the ball to running backs. He showed last year that they were doing it almost too much. Bills fans were getting pissed. They're like, "Why do you keep dumping it off to the running back? Like, throw it down the field." They're going to throw it to him, and he's the only guy who does it. Latavius Murray, like you said, he's not a pass catching back. So, yeah. Now, NMB, I do get this, and I don't say, of course, I don't hate James Cook. But that's the thing, is you're saying like too pass heavy, but that's good when you're the pass catching running back.
Yeah, I wouldn't like James Cook if like he was being drafted, as a high end RB2 or something like that. But you're getting James Cook in like the double digit rounds in most drafts, and in a PPR format, he's at least going to have weekly flex value because of his pass catching. Like if he catches 3 or 4 passes. Plus, he's a type of guy. He's a very efficient player. He's an explosive player, and he's good in space. So he's not the kind of guy who needs the volume. Like, no, he's not. Like, James Cook isn't going to win leagues this year. He's not going to take over the backfield and get 200 carries or something like that. But he could kind of be like Darren Sproles type, if any of you played back in the day with Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles was one of those running backs, always went late in drafts. And in PPR, sometimes you can even get him off waiver wire. And in PPR leagues, he was fantastic because if you needed a flex or you needed a bye week fill in your RB2, you knew he could catch 3 to 5 passes. And he always had the chance for big runs because he was an explosive guy. That's kind of how I see James Cook. And in this offense, defenses aren't going to be like sitting there going like, hey, let's load the box and stop the run. No, they're worried about Josh Allen in the passing game, which is just going to open up space for him. So, yeah, I'm not like James Cook going to like win leagues here, but man,
no,
in the double digit rounds, I'll take James Cook all day. He's going to have some big weeks. He will have some big weeks for sure.
And you can't say 0 TD upside when he's probably the lead back and he's in that offense. My worry is that, though, Damian Harris is the goal line back. He's the guy who they'll probably get in the red zone. So, yeah, limited TD upside, but you can't say 0 TD upside. But anyways, we're done. The draft is over, but we're not done because if you've ever watched, we're going to break down each team, give our thoughts on the roster construction. We're not going to go too in-depth on players because we just did that. But let's start with the number 1 team, or at least the team that picked first, and that's you. All right, so you went with Justin Jefferson, Tony Pollard, Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, Lamar in the 5th, Jahan Dotson, Rachaad White, Damian Harris, we just spoke of, Njoku, Bigsby, Gabriel, league-winning Davis, and then Jalen Warren, Tyjae Spears. All right, so you're solid at receiver as usual because besides JJ, you got Cooper and Kirk. And then Dotson as your flex. I like that. Love taking Lamar there. Definitely the right move. Look, Rachaad White is your RB2. I think that is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. And then you can mix and match between Harris, Bigsby, Warren. Surprised you did take a couple of guys here with Harrison, Bigsby as your RB3 type that neither one of them are really pass catching backs. But they have upside, and Warren is kind of that guy. So, yeah, I think you pulled off what you wanted to pull off. You got your guys. You have good balance. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel good. I'm happy with this team. Yeah, okay, the Gabe pick, maybe. I mean, maybe I could have gone Mooney there, maybe Bateman, maybe waited and grabbed I probably couldn't have gotten Shaheed, but I don't know. I just felt like Gabe never falls as far, so roll the dice, see what happens.
Mooney does not have league winning upside, so sorry.
That's true. I mean, I like Mooney, but Mooney feels a lot safer.
Yeah. All right, let's go to team 2. Sean Juan, who did make a couple of interesting picks there at the end, I want to point out. But Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, Pat Mahomes, it's a good start. Judy in the 4th. Najee, that seems like great value for him in the 5th. And then Connor at the 6th. Evans, Freiermuth, Kamara, Kadarius Toney, and then Jerick McKinnon, Rashee Rice, and Zeke. While we're busy talking, we did notice Zeke was drafted. So let's start with the first part of it. I think if there's an issue here, it's probably the receiver depth.
Yeah. I mean, look, I contemplated Najee Harris and Travis Etienne where I took Lamar. I thought they were both good values. So I can't be too upset with that pick. He was a great value there. But it is a 3 wide receiver league. I'm not on Judy. I'm just not. I mean, if you like him, okay, that's fine. But I think instead of Connor, because it is a 3 wide receiver league, I would have gone with Dotson or JSN or Flowers or Johnston or Pickens or whoever you like. Go ahead. I'm not going to sit here and say I know these guys will be better than this guy or whatever. Because now your 3rd wide receiver is one of those guys, and then your 4th wide receiver is Evans. Instead, your 3rd wide receiver is Evans, and now you're probably going to be flexing James Conner or Alvin Kamara. You're not going to be flexing Toney because he's not going to be playing McKinnon, those last 3 picks. Yeah, I just think I like Connor. It's not I don't like Connor, but this is a 3 wide receiver league. So I probably would have liked to seen a different, a wide receiver over James Conner.
Yeah. And again, it's not just that. I mean, you look at your running backs, you're probably really happy, but not so much a receiver in a 3 receiver league. And like I said, even then it's I don't love Jude. I don't love Judy even as my wide receiver 3. I mean, I think he's okay, but yeah. All right, let's go to King of the World. Cooper Kupp, Nick Chubb, no more airtime there. Jalen Hurts, Terry McLaurin, Mike Williams, Kittle in round 6. JSN, there's Charbonnet and Javonte, Jameson Williams, Rashawn Johnson, Jaden Reed, and Mechie. Young at the end, a lot of dart throws there. What do you think? Is the back half of this draft maybe a little too risky?
I'm going to say my biggest complaint is that he took Rashawn Johnson over Jamal Williams when he could have had all 3 Jay Williamses in a row.
That's a missed opportunity.
What are we doing when you got Javonte Williams, Jameson Williams, and then Jamal Williams is sitting there on the board for you, and you go with Rashawn? But anyways, okay, well, yeah, that was definitely a missed opportunity. But as far as the actual team, I like it. I think even for taking a tight end relatively early with Kittle, although it's not bad value for him, he still has decent wide receivers. I mean, Kupp, McLaurin, Mike Williams, and JSN should be fine at wide receiver. Chubb, we talked about it. He's fine as an RB1. Just don't expect league-breaking a year this year, which I doubt he expects. I think, RB2 certainly going to be an issue, but we talk about it a lot. If that's your issue, it's okay. Hopefully Charbonnet has enough of a role early that he's at least serviceable. Maybe Javonte gets it going late in the season. We'll see. Maybe Rashawn takes over that backfield. So I generally like the team. RB2 will be the issue, but if RB2 is the issue, you're okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I like this is a good anchor RB or hero RB, whatever you call it, build. I just don't know that I like specifically the RB2 options because I just said, sorry, alert.
Yeah, what happened?
Running back.
All right there?
Sneeze. Zach Charbonnet. I'm not in love with Zach Charbonnet this year and Javonte either. So I just don't love those specific options. You might look back and say Javonte was a steal, but yeah, I think it's just who you got at running back at that stage. But I think you'll be okay if you mix and match RB2. If that's your worst, thing. I think that's fine. And by the way, going back to Denver, Speaking of Judy, Greg saying, well, what other wide receiver is going to be good in
Oh
Denver?
man, we're gonna do this now. Okay.
Well, last year the answer was nobody, and I think that's the point. Nobody was good in Denver, so I don't think we can be too sure that anyone is going to be good. That's kind of the point.
Yes, that's the point. And actually, we have a video coming out. I think it comes out Saturday, and I make this exact argument. Like, we're so confident in Jerry Jeudy that we're going to draft him 6 rounds earlier than any other Denver wide receiver. Like, that is a lot of confidence in a guy who, let's be real, hasn't been good so far in the NFL. But anyways, that's for
save that for video form, long form. All right, let's go on to Andrea, who's at the 4 tonight. Tyreek Hill, JT, great value there. Ridley, Hopkins, Kenny Walker, I like that pick too. Pittman, Flowers, Dylan, Ingram, Algier. There's Mooney, Dak, who, man, that feels like amazing that you got him that late. And then Izzy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great team. I mean, how do you get JT? How do you start Tyreek Hill, JT? That's fantastic. Calvin Ridley. Maybe Hopkins is the one pick I would take back. I just don't see it for Hopkins in Tennessee. Like, I would have rather had Kirk, Mike Williams. I mean, if you want to go with a floor guy, I mean, I'd probably really honestly rather have McLaurin than Hopkins. Maybe even Godwin than Hopkins. That's probably the one pick. But outside of that, I mean, you got great value. Walker in the 5th. I know you're not high on Pittman, but I think in the 6th, he's fine. Love Flowers. I think Dylan's great. Ingram is your tight end. We said Dak. That getting Dak in the 12th might be the best value of the entire draft. So very good team.
Yeah, and this is the thing is we see, and we do advocate, don't wait. If you can get an elite quarterback, do it. But when you don't, and you wind up getting amazing value in Dak, this is what happens: is you come out stacked at receiver. So this is nice. Now, again, I wouldn't have taken Hopkins there either, even though you think, well, he's my wide receiver 3. That is good. But he was taken in round 4. Personally, I would prefer Mike Williams or Christian Kirk. But yeah, this is a really good team, and Walker's your RB2. And yeah, I don't love Pittman, but I don't love the fact Pittman's usually going in round 5. Getting it to 6-9, that's still actually really good. And I actually like Zay Flowers even better. So really strong, very strong. Anwar, who we're going to assume didn't auto on CMC and really wanted him. So took CMC and then took T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Josh Allen, Hawkinson, Miles Sanders, Quentin Johnson, Brian Robinson, Sutton. There's the other Denver receiver. Jacoby Myers. There's Jamal Williams, Devin Singletary, and KJ Osborne.
Yeah, so this is one team where I'm going to say taking Hawkinson there, I think kind of hurt this team because now you're wide receiver 3 in a 3 wide receiver league is either going to be Quentin Johnston, who maybe as the season goes on, he'll come around, but Cortland Sutton, which again, I'm going to say, why are we so sure that Jerry Judy's worth a 4th round pick, but Sutton's only worth a 9th round pick? Maybe they're both kind of worth 9th round picks, to be honest. Or Jacoby Myers, who's fine. I think Jacoby Myers is fine, but those guys don't really get you going. Whereas if instead of Hawkinson, you had gone with a Godwin, a Lockett, a Deontay Johnson, a Burks, a Pittman, whoever. I'm not going to sit here and say there's one guy you should have taken here, but you take one of those wide receivers, and then later on you get a Waller, a Kmet, a Dulcich. I think your team would be much stronger if you had done that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, I mean, I'm not against the strategy here, the build. It's just, those are players. I'm not taking DK round 3. You already said I'm not taking Josh Allen before Lamar Jackson, and I'm not taking Hawkinson that early. So, I mean, you're going to come out okay. I mean, you don't have bad players. It's just there's a lot of picks I would have made differently, personally. Let's go to the Beast. That would be Keith, our Weather Beast and resident Cheesecake Factory fanatic. Let's go. Let's see. CeeDee Lamb and Saquon Barkley. It's a good start. DJ Moore, Marquise Brown, Justin Fields to get the stack there. Deontay, and then went with Madison, Pacheco, and Penny. Rondale Moore, Gallup, Zeus, and Chig as a starting tight end.
Yeah, so I mean Barkley over. I don't have Barkley over JT, but it's fine. It's splitting hairs, honestly. It's splitting hairs. It's great value on Barkley for sure. love your wide receivers, Lamb, DJ Moore, Marquise Brown, Deontay. That's great. Fields is fantastic. I like what you did on your bench. I don't know. I'm just not. I don't know what tight end I would have taken there. I mean, what tight ends can I even see the players still? No, you can't see the players. I'm trying to think what tight ends are still on the board there. I know Dulcich went, but I don't know. I'm very nervous for Chig because the reason I like Chig, I think Chig's a good player, and I still think Chig has a good future in the NFL. But with Hopkins there now, they're not suddenly they might throw it. They might go from the 3rd lowest passing team to the 10th lowest passing team or 12th lowest, but they're still going to be pretty low in terms of pass attempts. So you're asking DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burks, and Chig to all somehow be good in that type of offense, and I just don't see it. So, but look, yeah, maybe even Higbee. Greg's saying Higbee. I thought about Higbee. Higbee's not the worst. And look, you can always stream. You're probably going to end up streaming. So, but other than that, Other than that, I think all your picks are great. So if your last round tight end is your worst pick, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. Tight end, you can always stream. That's not an issue. Yeah, RB2 is a little sketchy, and again, that's not the worst problem to have. I think Madison might pay off. I'm not anti-Madison. Pacheco, I guess you got him at a good value is decent. I mean, 8th round, that's pretty good. Penny, a little early, but I think maybe we have a believer there. So we'll see. He did take the first carry of practice today, so that's got to mean something.
Well, that's it. That seals the deal. Workhorse, 3 down, every snap. That's it. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
All right. Sorry, just to clarify, Keith, not the biggest fan of cheesecake. He's just comparing it to Nick Chubb, meaning it's good, not great. All right. Let's go to GGG. That is, all right, Andrew.
Yes.
All right. Bijan at the 7. That's a good start. Devontae Smith, Kyle Pitts in round 3. Joe Burrow, Etienne, Burks, Juju, Dalvin Cook, and then I don't know the Waller pick besides being unnecessary. That wasn't an auto, was it?
I don't think so. It's Pitts insurance, I guess.
OBJ, Lazard, Mostert, and Thielen. How do you feel about the tight end situation here?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take Pitts in round 3, you're pretty much planting your flag saying, I believe Pitts is going to be awesome this year. So I'm not taking Pitts insurance in the whatever round that is, the 9th round, because you basically planted your flag saying,
or at all.
Yeah, or any round. Honestly, I'm not doing it. So yeah, that's my thing. If you're going to take Pitts that early, you've pretty much planted your flag. But we got to really talk about the wide receiver situation here for a 3 wide receiver league. I mean, I love your running backs, Bijan and Etienne. We know Bijan's going to smash. Etienne is your RB2 is great. You got Burrow, that's fantastic. But your 3 wide receivers are Devonta Smith, Traylon Burks, and Juju. Like I liked Traylon Burks, and I think Traylon Burks will still have some weeks. He'll have some moments, but it's hard to get as excited about him because, again, like I talked about with Chig, you're still talking about an offense that's probably going to be in the bottom 10 to 12 pass attempts per game. And now you got Hopkins, Burks, and Chig all fighting for targets. It definitely takes some luster off him. I like him more as my wide receiver 3 or flex, not my wide receiver 2. I don't like Juju at all. And then you're like hoping Odell, Lazard, or Thielen can somehow crack your starting lineup. I think for a 3 wide receiver league, this team needed more wide receivers.
Yeah, it's just jumping out at me. He's around 7, 8, 9. That's where it took a hard turn, not for the better, because Burks really should be your wide receiver 3, not 2. But if he is, and because you went running back, and tight end early and quarterback, then you need to load up on wide receivers. So all 3 of those picks, 7, 8, 9, should have been receivers, and one of them should not have been Juju. That's the thing. Burks should be a wide receiver 3, and Juju should be a wide receiver nothing. So if that pick would have been Pickens or even Elijah Moore, that would have been a big difference. And then instead of Dalvin Cook, take a receiver. Instead of Darren Waller, like anything, but especially should have been a receiver there. So the front end of the draft was strong. And then after round 7, it kind of fell off for me. And even the last few picks, I hate to say, but like I'm not drafting really Lazard or Thielen
No.
at all, just anywhere. But Mostert is debatable. But yeah, I would just say that make sure you get that wide receiver depth. And I don't think Odell Beckham counts. All right, Clayton. What did Clayton do today? Let's see. He tried something different. He went with Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Ramondre Ayuk. So he got at least one Niner. That's good. Cam Akers, Trevor Lawrence, George Pickens, Gibson, Ashane, Mingo, Bateman, Dulcich, and this year's league winner, Justin Ross.
Oh man, we're gonna Justin Ross, Rashee Rice, Richie James. They're gonna be drafted in every draft we do from now until the start of the season. Obviously Garrett Wilson, the spicy pick here. I don't think it's like crazy spicy. We usually see him more like the end of the first round, but it's pretty spicy. But I think right there is okay for Adams. Like, yeah, you could argue JT or Barkley over him if you want to go running back, but I think that's probably right for Adams. Stevenson, to me, that feels like great value. I don't know. I know Ayuk is Clayton's guy, but man, people often ask a lot about like how are the Falcons going to support Bijan, Pitts, and London? How come nobody asks how the 49ers, who only attempted 31 passes per game last year and have either an unproven quarterback, a terrible quarterback, or a quarterback coming off major elbow injury, how are they going to support Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey? How come nobody asked that question? But anyways, I guess I just did. I'm not quite as high on you as Brandon Ayuk, but it's fine. He's your guy, whatever. Akers is your RB2 is good. T-Law great there. Pickens as a flex is fine. I definitely like the guys you grab late. So overall, Wilson a little spicy, but overall a very good draft.
Yeah, I think it is a good team. With the Ayuk thing, I'm totally fine with him there because if you look at all the receivers that went after him, I don't have a strong case to say that any one of them really deserves to be ahead of him. Kirk is a good contender, but he's now got Calvin Ridley to deal with, and Mike Williams now has a rookie to deal with. So yeah, I'm fine with Ayuk pick. I think Akers went where he should go. I do still technically have Dobbins ahead of him, but it's fine. So I think this is a really good draft. I like this team. I like this team a lot. Took smart chances late, so well done. And then there's Joe. Before y'all get merciless on these picks, let's just say Joe is taking his guys. Went with Eckler, London in the second, Addison in the third, Keenan, took Dobbins, took Watson, and then Van Jefferson, Isaiah Hodgins, Cole Kmet, Dobbs, Jerome Ford, Zay Jones, and Gainwell. So look, obviously we already covered this. Some of these guys went early, but what do you think of the roster as a whole?
I mean, I'll say this. I like a lot of the players he picked. Like, I like Eckler. I like London. I like Addison. I think Keenan is fine. I like Dobbins. I like Deshaun. I like Van Jefferson. I like Hodgins. I think Kmet is fine as like a last-round tight end. I know you like Dobbs. I'm like, whatever. I like Ford. Don't really like Zay Jones. Gainwell's okay. But I like most of his picks. Obviously, the issue is here, he didn't need to take him this early, right? Like, he could have taken other wide receivers there. He could have gotten, okay, maybe Drake London doesn't make it back to him, but he certainly could have gotten Addison a little later. He could have definitely gotten Van Jefferson and Hodgins later. So it's not so much that, like, he made terrible picks as far as the players go. I think he picked a lot of good players. It's just he probably picked them a lot earlier than he needed to.
And that's it. In almost every pick there, guys I like and I'm taking, in drafts just a round or two earlier. In the case of like Van Jefferson, Hodgins, a couple of rounds earlier. But overall, I like the players. It's just, again, you don't want to reach too much because then you could have gotten that same player around later, plus a player who is better in that round that you took him. So, for example, Jordan Addison, not going to be a round 3 pick probably in any draft. You could have got a Christian Watson or an Ayuk or Deebo and still get Jordan Addison. Now, if you like Keenan Allen better, that's fine. But anyways, I think that's the takeaway here. Always want to kind of pay the appropriate price. You don't want to overpay. NMB took Sungod and Olave, Andrews, Brees Hall, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Swift, Elijah Moore, Monty Pirine, Nico Collins, Herbert, Richardson, and Pierce. So I mean, I can say right here, the running backs are going to make or break this team.
Yeah, we've been seeing this lately. These teams where Breece Hall is their RB1, definitely got to be nervous there. But if Swift hits and Montgomery is fine or P Ryan is fine, you could potentially be okay until Breece Hall does make it back at least to maybe 80% or good enough. So yeah, it's going to be the thing. I think the wide receivers, St. Brown, Olave, Godwin is your 3 is fine. Elijah Moore, Nico, you got some upside at the flex. You got Andrews, you got Richardson. So I like the rest of the team. It's really, going to come down to the running backs, because there's Swift busts and, Javonte is getting run, even if he's terrible. Running back will be an issue for you in this draft.
And again, it's hard to say either way. Maybe Breece Hall is a stud and DeAndre Swift. I'm taking DeAndre Swift, that, but I don't want Breece Hall as my RB1, but he loves his team, so that's all that matters, right? You got the guys you like. It is solid. Receivers are good, so
I like Swift. No, I like Swift. I like Swift. So,
all right, and then my team: Kelsey, Waddle, Watson, Debo, Herbert. I took Pierce, Brandon Cooks, James Cook, Sky Moore, Kendry Miller, Chase Brown, Rashid Shaheed, Deontay Foreman. I mostly like my team. I did purposely wait on running back, but I know that's my issue here. Basically, RB2 is going to be hit or miss.
Yeah, and I know you like Pierce. I like Pierce, but he might not be a true RB1 week in and week out. More like a high-end RB2. But when you wait till round 6 to take your first running back, that's kind of how it's going to be. You have 3 very good wide receivers. You have Herbert and Kelsey. That's fantastic. Flex might be an issue too, because as much as I like Sky Moore and Rashid Shaheed, I understand there's also a lot of risk with those guys. So if Brandon Cooks if he's not that good, and James Cook has to be your RB2, flex could also be an issue. But I mean, your first 5 picks might be strong enough to carry you through that anyways. So,
yeah, and that does happen when you take Kelsey a tight end early. Then that kind of is like the trade-off at your flex spot. So definitely consider that. But also, I do know, and like I said again, I could have gone, true 0 RB, but then James Cook is my RB1, not my RB2, and then my RB2 is Kendry Miller, and then it's like. So I think it's okay. I like it overall. I know there's going to be some issues at running back possibly, but James Cook is a stud. I'm fine. And then Ian went with Diggs and AJ Brown is a good start there with Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and Aaron Jones. Tyler Lockett, Goddard, Mixon, Tua, Michael Thomas, and in round 10, no less, Eli Mitchell, Tyler Boyd, DPJ.
Man, I love the start to this draft. I mean, getting Diggs and AJ Brown at the 1-2 turn is fantastic. Gibbs and Jacobs, if Jacobs plays, I mean, that's tremendous value. I think the issue for me is that Aaron Jones pick, and I know it feels like every draft I harp on Aaron Jones. Well, this is a 3 wide receiver league, and look, Lockett is your wide receiver 3. I think is fine, but imagine this team with Lockett and take your pick of, Burks, Deontay, Pittman, Dotson, JSN, Flowers, whatever as your flex, and then Mixon. Is Aaron Jones? I mean, look, I'm pretty down on Mixon, but is Aaron Jones going to be significantly better than Mixon this year?
I mean, this is a team where it has. Honestly, a couple of players from yesteryear, and by that I mean 2 years ago, studs, right? Joe Mixon was a stud 2 years ago, and Michael Thomas was a stud, and Aaron Jones. So it's a little, I'll say old, in terms of age, but just a little bit, you don't want to just rely on guys who were good in the past. We have to look to who's going to be good this year. So look, maybe Michael Thomas has a resurgence. Maybe Joe Mixon isn't dust, but yeah, it's a little bit too much relying on that. The guys with the name value. That's my only thing.
Yeah, I think, man, those first 4 picks, you were set up to have just an absolute monster squad. You got some just incredible value. I just would have liked to seen, I'm okay with Lockett there. I like that pick too.
Yeah.
just would have liked to see another wide receiver over Aaron Jones. So now you have 3 very good wide receivers and a high upside flex. You have 2 good running backs potentially. You could have still gotten Goddard. You could have still gotten Tua. And then this team, I think, would have been a monster.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, once Michael Thomas gets hurt, you're forcing yourself to flex a running back. So
Yeah.
But got some good players here. That's it, guys. That's our redraft mock. We're gonna do it again as we always do. If you haven't subscribed yet, go to flockfantasy.com/endgame. We do this every week. If you want to join us, then become a member. You can get your spot nice and early, and all the other things I talked about at the top of the show. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now while the draft season is still getting underway. There it is, flockfantasy.com/endgame, and check out our videos that are dropping almost every single day to help you win. All right. Thanks for watching.